welcome everybody. Robert Weichelt, EXP, trainer, coach, mentor with the Homeboss online offers platform. If you can go ahead and just mute yourself, put any questions that you may have in the chat box, and we'll make sure we get those addressed. What Bob Mangold has done is created kind of an updated Homeboss presentation. It's not very long, but it really dives into what we're doing and why we're doing it and how we're showing so many sellers success when they list with us. This listing tool by far is better than any listing tool available. You have this platform, you have the tools to take any listing from anyone. So it's a great little program. We're going to go ahead and start. So the question I have, we've got Facebook ads, we've got Zillow ads, but the number 3 thing here, the one that I like the most is FSBOs, expireds, canceled, probate, divorce. They're the ones that have their hand up the highest, as opposed to walking down a neighborhood trying to identify what sellers are ready to sell. The sellers that have their hand up the highest are the FSBOs, expired, cancels, probate, and divorce. So we're going to touch base on how we work with them. So can you agree the most profitable and efficient real estate business you could create would be to carry at least 5 to 10 listings at a time? I mean, that is a big deal. So when you close one, if your goal is to have 10 actual listings at a time, when one sells, you need to replace it. So you need to always have at least, my personal goal is to have at least 10 actives at all times. Now, I'm not quite there, but because they sell so darn quick, but that's the goal that I'm shooting for. So my goal is to take as many listing appointments as possible. Not all sellers are going to qualify. Not all sellers are going to understand our platform. But I can tell you this, if you become proficient in explaining the platform, you will take as many listings as you want. So let's go into the areas of the 5 areas that we're going to focus on today. Number 1, imagine if your business would look like if you had access to potential sellers before any other agents. If you could create leverage with your listings, create hundreds of free buyer leads. It's a great tool for our buyer agents that work with us. You can get a 25 to 30% in referral fees every single month. 25 to 30 referrals. Can you imagine? That would be amazing. If you could turn one listing into 5 additional closings. These are some of the areas we're going to focus on today. And if you had a way to list and sell virtually every single listing, would you want to at least look at it? So this is a picture of me. I take a lot of listings, and no matter where I go, this is me in Cabo. I took 4 listings that week while in Cabo. I've got my laptop, I've got my microphone, and I'm taking listings literally from the beach. I'm going to show you how to take listings using Zoom. Use the technology around you to take more listings. I'm going to show you how I take 3 listings every single week. So what we're going to do is we're going to really put out a challenge, for you today. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you some technology and what's happening in the courts that are disrupting the real estate business and the way we are used to doing business. What we're going to do also is we're going to show you how to survive and thrive with these current changes, because we've got some headwinds coming, and the Department of Justice is really pressing hard on the commission transparency, and our platform addresses that. Here's an article that we have. According to the DOJ, there's some serious legal issues going on in terms of commissions. So we're going to touch base on that. We're going to basically show how we can help the sellers save money, having the buyer, the same person that's really their only job is to negotiate against the seller. We're going to show how the buyers can pay for their own buyer agent. And it's really get involved and know what's going on with the NAR lawsuit. For instance, right now we've got, it's called the buyer broker commission rule. So really understand that class action lawsuit, what's happening, because that's certainly going to change the way our industry does business. We have a class action lawsuit, and if it prevails, it's going to show that they're going to remove the buyer commission from the seller paying it. So pay attention to that. Really understand what's happening. Even if the class action lawsuit never goes anywhere, we're going to still lose in the court of opinion, the public opinion. So it's really something that you really understand what's happening. And the Homeboss online offers platform certainly addresses those issues. For instance, Realogy, they're calling for NAR to eliminate the commission sharing requirement, because right now you can't put in a listing in the MLS without providing some kind of compensation to the buyer agent. The days of 3% listings are basically gone. If you look in the MLS, you see 1%, 1.5%. Maybe you see some 2.5%, but very rarely will you see a 3% option. We're bringing that back. So it's a huge, huge tool for us. So what you want to do is, what happens if the DOJ kills cooperation and compensation in the MLS? You need to understand what's happening there. So really pay attention to the buyer broker commission. You know, there's a compression going on. It's already been happening for a number of years, and it's really gaining big momentum right now. 38% of all listings in Southern California are all offering 1.5 or less. That's a big deal. So really start paying attention to that. And I tell you what, when I take a listing, I do everything I can to get a 3% listing to the buyer agent, because when you get buyer agents committed to your properties, because commission drives action. So that's our number one goal for our seller. Look at this. There's $1 and sometimes $0 in the MLS. I mean, that's a very difficult tool. Our online offers platform allows for us to do the buyer compensation, the agent compensation, so that we can absolutely compete against. You've got places like Opendoor and OfferPad and HomeLight. You just need to ask yourself, how are you going to compete against those types of folks? Wall Street, for instance, they're out buying tons of properties. So you really need to pay attention to that, because at the end of the day, you got to figure we want the highest and best for our seller. So here's kind of what's happening with Opendoor. Just kind of a quick update on Opendoor. If you don't know what's happening with them, you really definitely need to do some research on it. But you can see here that Opendoor's monthly purchases, they're skyrocketing. They've come down a little bit, but it's still a very big force in our market. So just kind of pay attention, because Opendoor is teasing with the non-MLS type platform. So it really to compete against the MLS. So Opendoor, that's some of their main goals. So really kind of pay attention to that. Because sellers, they have more options now than they've ever had. They can sell it on their own. And certainly we came out of a market that all they have to do is put it on Zillow or wherever they put it, and they can put it in escrow right away. They can still hire a traditional agent. They can hire a mega team. How are you going to compete with those mega teams? They hire a discount agent. The Redfins and the Rexes and those types of folks, these discount brokers. And of course, there's a lot of cash on the sidelines. So they're accepting cash offers. And we have a wonderful coach, Kathy Ryan, that can walk you through the cash offers platform. So one thing I do know for sure, that sellers have always wanted the highest net price, period. They want to go under contract fast, but they don't want to feel like they left money on the table. But the biggest thing is the hassles and the headaches that sellers think they have to go through. Our platform is so simple to use. We eliminate the hassles and the headaches. So here's something that to consider. Think about this. Money isn't as important for most sellers. Consider the striking response. 77% of respondents said they would probably or maybe willing to take 5 to 10% less for their home to avoid the hassle of a traditional sale. Now, those are things that are happening. Those are things that are being messaged out to the sellers. They're making it seem like the traditional real estate transaction is a hassle. And it kind of is. With random showings, we don't do that. We do a 2-day open house where all the buyers get to see all the other buyers. There's no inconvenience for the sellers. So we're making it a lot easier. So what are some of the solutions? So let's go into that. We started asking some questions, and here's what we've come up with. 4 critical obstacles. How do we comply with DOJ and the courts? How do we compete with speed and convenience of the cash buyers? And how do we overcome discounters to keep 3 to 4% of our commissions? And how do we compete with mega teams? So let's kind of go into how we can do that. Now, we've come up with the answer. It's called the DUST formula. You create demand, and that's pricing and marketing. Then the urgency is setting deadlines. All offers are due Wednesday at 7 p.m., for example. We do scarcity. We limit access to the property. We let the buyers come in on a scheduled Saturday and Sunday viewing, no showings before the open house. And it just creates that scarcity. And ultimately, the transparency of our online offers is by far the best. And I'm going to go into that a little bit more. So what we need to do is we need to realize we have a unique selling proposition. There's no hassle to get the highest and best price. We guarantee in 14 days. And in many cases, sellers are paying only half the commission from a traditional 6%, 5 or 6% listing. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover a lot of that right now. Now, the Homeboss selling system, it's sold fast for the highest price, and you can compete with up to 0% commission from the sellers. Now think about this. How many listings do you think you could take if the seller was offered a zero commission platform? This is fantastic. Now, zero buyer commissions, we usually want to have the seller have some skin in the game. If they pay 3%, the buyer pays 3%, that's a 6% listing. But every now and then you're going to run across a seller that doesn't want to pay any commissions. How are you going to compete? Well, what we've done is we've created the Homeboss online offers platform, and it's absolutely 100% transparent, but it's a win-win for buyers, sellers, realtors, everybody. So it's a great process. And as you can see, we're having great success with it. Now, I don't know how many of you on this call have sold a HUD home, but HUD uses the exact same platform, only ours is 100% transparent. HUD, VA, USDA, all use this type of platform. The only thing is we offer 100% transparency on offers and commissions. Now, here's how it works. You've got the final offer plus the agent compensation. Let's say the seller's willing to pay 3% and the buyer pays a 3% agent compensation. So you have a final offer plus agent compensation equals the final contract price. This is the number that the lender and the appraiser work from the contract price. I get questions all the time. Well, how do we notify the lender? There's no need to, because all we're doing is driving a transparent final sales price, showing the buyers and the buyer agents exactly what the commission is that the buyer is compensating. Now, let's give you an example of the transparency. As you can see, we've got a full-on transparent bidding war. And I can never understand why buyers go in and outbid themselves, but it happens all the time. But at the end of the day, we're driving full transparency. Therefore, buyers are competing against each other, because you got to remember, buyers are inherently competitive, and given the chance, they will continue to bring that price up. And that is really our goal for our seller. Here's an example where we had 9 offers. The last offer was $435. You got the buyer's agent compensation, and then a total purchase price of $448. You still have 2 days left. Now, there comes another offer, and then it automatically gets calculated into the platform, the amount of compensation that's being added. And as you can see, we now have 16 offers, drove the price up to $467, still with 2 hours left. And you can see how it automatically, we've got 9 minutes left in this one. We got 17 offers, and it finally ended up with 20 transparent offers. The current offer represents what the seller's net is. Then you add the buyer's agent commission to that to come up with a total purchase price of $477,920, as seen in this example. That is full transparency, and that's very awesome for the seller and the buyers. Now, our process is simple. We price our properties 15% below market to drive maximum traffic. Now, the reason why we do that is because we want to drive so many folks, buyers, to those homes, so all the other buyers see that, wow, we're not the only ones that want this property. So that's one of the most important parts, is price it properly. We implement our marketing blitz for 10 days. We list the property on a Wednesday. We go live on a Thursday. And then for 10 days leading up to the open house, we're doing a full court press, social media blitz. And then we're doing a 2-day open house. And that's all we do is a 2-day open house. And there's no lockbox. So there's no random showings up until the open house. And at the end of the day, we drive those buyers to our transparent online offers platform. And that bidding ends Wednesday at 7 o'clock in many cases. Now, here's kind of the science of pricing. Homeboss utilizes the science of pricing. If you price it 15% below, you're going to get a good 30% more traffic. And our number one goal for the open house is to drive as much traffic as possible. Because, I mean, let's ask ourselves a question. Which price would attract more buyers? It's the exact same house. One's priced at $675, the other's at $800. Which home will attract more buyers? Of course, the $675 one. Right now, the number one goal in marketing is to get as many prospective buyers to come and tour our listings. Because when buyers compete, sellers win, period. Now, we leverage the pricing because look at this traffic. This is Kathy Ryan's open house where she had over 884 people. They're lined up down the block to the point where the police had to come because they were thinking something was going on in the neighborhood. So that's exactly what you want to do. And when you do your open houses, take photos like this and document it. All of our properties are well documented on the traffic. Look at this traffic we have. You know, we've got a line around the block, and that's what it's all about. I used to hold the record at 586 people at one of my weekend open houses, but then Jerry and Alexa came in and had 742 in their open house weekend. Those are big numbers. Then, of course, Kathy came in and had 500 people through the door on Saturday and another 300 and however many the next day for a total of 884 people to an open house. That's absolutely amazing, but it didn't last long because Jerry and Alexa broke that record at 924 attendees. Guys, are you seeing a trend? We're having a lot of open house traffic, and that's the number one goal for an open house is to get traffic. Because remember, think of selling as like fishing. Yeah, traditional listing agent's going to throw a line in the water. They're going to list their price at whatever they think it'll sell out, and they're going to get an offer at that price, and they're going to take that offer. Well, we like the Homeboss listing agent uses a net, and we're going to capture all the buyers and let them compete against each other because traditional listings are taught to have a listing price, usually higher than it's worth, and negotiate down. Our system, we price it 15% below market and drive the price up to an infinity if it goes there. Our number one goal is to get the highest and best price for our seller. Not putting ceilings on this. Now, does it all really work? Well, let me go show you some examples here. We've got Bob and Ryan and them did an open house in Arizona. The 8 days on the market, 10,000 views. Do you agree that more eyes will bring more offers? And that's 487 shares. But look at the same house in the same neighborhood, a model match. They had their home on the market 12 days, only 2,000 views and only 116 saves. Now notice the thumbnail. The home on the top is Bob and Ryan's. The home on the bottom is just a terrible presentation of that home, and I think it affected them. So who you work with matters. But 10,000 views is a big deal. This home sold for $309. Bob and Ryan ended up selling their home for $371. It's the same home. That's a big deal. We're driving more traffic, therefore driving more offers, therefore driving the highest price for our sellers. Here's another one. Look at this, 42 offers. Starting price is $255, sold for the appraised at $350. The buyer paid the difference because the property sold for $371. Check this one out. Starting price $450, appraised at $570, total sales price $617. Buyer paid the difference. This is one I did in San Diego. I had 36 offers. We started at $595, ended up selling it for $811. The seller ended up enjoying $105,000 more for their home than she ever dreamed of getting. It is just a fascinating way. And you can see when the buyers compete against each other, the seller wins. That's our job. So watch. Does it work for agents? Let's go into it. Let's get a couple testimonials. They got 4 listings in the first week. That's huge. 4 listings last week. You don't know Homeboss, you don't know real estate. I mean, this just goes on and on. Norm took 9 listings in 8 days using his text strategy. Curtis took 7 listings in his first 23 days using our Homeboss text strategy. This right here these numbers blow my mind. Larry out of Houston, 2.5 months, took 19 listings and is working with 41 buyer broker agreements. That's a big deal. So if you want this same type of success, this is how you sign up for it. You go to homebossapplication.com, or better yet, just schedule a time with me. Go to my calendar link and say, Robert, I want to know more about the Homeboss platform. And if you want to get started, you can go to my careers opportunities link and get started. So with that said, thank you so much for jumping on.